By 1798, France had effectively neutralized its continental enemies, leaving Great Britain as its sole remaining adversary. Invading the British Isles directly across the Channel was deemed impossible due to the supremacy of the Royal Navy. Consequently, French strategic planning shifted toward a bold geopolitical maneuver in the Mediterranean. The objective was to launch a massive naval expedition to seize Egypt, establishing a strategic base to disrupt British trade routes to India and dismantle their economic lifeline. In May, a fleet carrying 36,000 troops departed from Toulon under total secrecy, successfully evading British naval patrols. The campaign presented an entirely new geographic challenge for the French military. Upon landing near Alexandria, the troops were forced to march through the harsh, arid conditions of the desert toward Cairo. Unlike the mountainous and river-dense terrain of Europe, this theater demanded adaptation to vast open spaces, extreme heat, and severe water scarcity. The regional rulers, the Mamluks, relied on a highly mobile and traditional cavalry force. As the French army neared the pyramids of Giza, they established a defensive line anchored against the Nile River, forcing the enemy into a tactical bottleneck. The confrontation, known as the Battle of the Pyramids, showcased a clash of military doctrines. To counter the swift cavalry charges, the French forces deployed into massive, hollow infantry squares. This tactical formation turned the army into a series of mobile fortresses, presenting a wall of bayonets and artillery fire on all sides. The Mamluk cavalry repeatedly assaulted the squares, but failed to breach the tight lines, suffering catastrophic losses. The strategic victory allowed the French to secure Cairo and gain control over the Nile Delta, effectively redrawing the geopolitical map of the Middle East. However, the French success on land was instantly compromised by a catastrophic naval disaster. In August 1798, a British fleet commanded by Admiral Horatio Nelson discovered the anchored French warships in Abu Qir Bay. The ensuing Battle of the Nile resulted in the near-total destruction of the French fleet. Geopolitically, this completely altered the dynamics of the campaign. The destruction of the ships cut off the French army from Europe, leaving them entirely isolated in North Africa, without lines of supply, reinforcement, or communication. Trapped in Egypt, French strategy forced an expansion northward into the Levant to counter an impending Ottoman counteroffensive. The army advanced through Gaza and laid siege to the fortified coastal city of Acre. Here, the geography worked against them. Fortified by strong walls and continuously resupplied by British ships from the sea, Acre proved impenetrable. Facing heavy casualties and the spread of disease, the French lines were forced to abandon the siege and execute a grueling retreat back across the Sinai Desert to Egypt. The Middle Eastern expedition had reached a strategic dead end. With the geopolitical landscape in Europe shifting once again, and a second coalition forming to threaten French borders, the young general made a critical decision. Evading the British naval blockade on a single ship, he abandoned the isolated army in Egypt and returned to Paris. He arrived not as a defeated commander, but as a leader ready to seize absolute political power. The campaign in the sands had failed, but the struggle for the ultimate mastery of Europe was about to reach its absolute peak.